The Racing Postcast in association with Paddy Power. They prize support UK and Irish racing the night before.
Hello, I'm Mark Story and welcome to the Weekend Tipping Postcast. I'm here with Paul Keeley and Graham Rodway from the Racing Post and Brendan Duke from Paddy Power. Now, fellas, what a weekend we've got in store. It's Super Saturday, Newmarket, York, Ascot, so many races, so many things to go through our heads. How do you cope with it all, Graham? I mean, how do you approach a day like this?
That is the question, isn't it? I've got 11 horses that I've come up on my Racing Post tracker tomorrow. Plus, I'll be obviously looking at every other top class race, so I could quite easily run into 20 or 30 bets in the space of a couple of hours. I'll try and find 15 winners. I suppose that's the best way to deal with it, isn't it?
Yeah, well,
you get on your punting boots, you strap them on really tight, and you just go in head down and have a cracking day's punting, and hope you come out the other end of it okay.
But do you lose focus halfway through, or do you try sort of have a strategy before
Mate,
you
I
go
lose focus every weekend when I'm losing, so it won't be any different this time. But no, it's fantastic racing, and I know we criticise it in the run up to it, saying why are all these meetings on, and then next week it's pretty much garbage. But when the day comes around, it's fantastic, and one good race after another. If it was like this every Saturday, I'd love it.
And to be fair, they have spread it out a bit. I mean, the Bunbury Cup's at 5:15, so there is a little bit of time, a bit more time than normal. 3 hours on Channel 4 to kind of get the main races out of the way.
I think it'd be pretty poor if this was on every weekend, wouldn't we? Yeah. All these races.
Yeah. Well, let's have a look at the July Cup. I mean, Paul, 18 left in it. I think you made the case in your weekend column about how the top 5 in the market, very close. How do you see it?
Yeah, everybody, such an always there's a golden age for sprinters, but at the end of the day, none of these has run up to the 10-year average RPR of a winner of this, and it is very, very tight. I mean, I think you've got the highest rated horses in here are 118 and the lowest rated is 110. That's not an awful lot of difference. If you took £3 a length, you're only talking there's less than 3 lengths between the entire field on the figures, and I do think it's wide open. Now, why I can see any of Magical Memory, Limato, Twilight Sun, Quiet Reflection winning. I can see a few others at much bigger prices as well. They're all priced about right. Now, I went for Gokum because I thought he was just completely ignored by the bookmakers, having run, a bit of an out of the blue third in the King's Stand at Royal Ascot, but he'd probably been second and right on the nose of profitable if it had got a run at the right time. A little bit worried now that the ground might be a bit too fast for him because most of his form's on with a bit of cut, but that was a big run, and if he's able to repeat it, then he's not going to be far off. But there's others in there as well. Eastern Impact has a fantastic record on this track. He's got really, really good form there. He was only beaten a length and a bit last year by Muhara. Now, obviously, Muhara probably didn't run to his very best form because he didn't handle the track. But even so, there's no Muhara in here now, and he's a massive prize. Danzino's got a chance. So, I've taken a chance with Gokan. I might well back Eastern Impact as well. This isn't a race that I'm going to be getting heavily involved in, though.
Graham, what's your way into the race?
There were 2 horses that really I've been following all season. One is Magical Memory, and I haven't done too badly there. Bit disappointed last time out at Ascot. I just wonder if a stiff track there just caught him out. He always travels very well. Yeah, he did make a bit of a mess at the start, but I wouldn't put that down as an excuse. I just don't think he's the strongest of stayers at 6 furlongs, and as such, this easier track might play to his strengths. I'm sure he'll be on the bridle coming to the final furlong, whether he'll finish it off or not. I hope he will. He's my idea of the winner. Kotai Glory is the other one. If I was going to take a flyer, I thought ran an absolute cracker behind Profitable. However, all its form is over 5 furlongs, and I'm not sure that this stiffer test will suit Kotai Glory. So I'll be back in Magical Memory, but I won't be going in too heavily. I mean, there's not going to be much more on the length covering the first 3, 4 or 5 home here. I'll be surprised. And pretty much anything could win it.
Now, Charlie Hills is quite sweet on Kotai Glory in his column in the Weekender. But the interesting one about Air Force Blue, do you just write him off and say, no, he's got no chance, he hasn't trained on, or do you think he has got some kind of chance?
Well, he's not for me. I mean, Cuttle's coming in that's run 2 absolutely abysmal races this season and is still priced probably going to be no more than sort of 10 or 12 to 1. I mean, if he came back to his juvenile form, then we all know he'd be banging there with a chance, but it's a huge leap of faith.
Paul, are we wasting our time with Air Force Blue?
I wouldn't back him. I just can't see it. It's just, those 2 runs, he was beaten way before 6 foot, before the extra distance came in. And I think in Ryan Moore's column he says that he just didn't give him the feel that he gave him as a 2-year-old. So I would be dead against him. He wouldn't be the first one that Aidan O'Brien's brought back from not staying a mile to win a big sprint, but he doesn't seem to have the same profile as him because he's just been badly beaten.
Brendan, what are you keeping on side?
We are keeping Jungle Cat on side. Well, it's not a race that we're ever going to have a unanimous feeling about, but we all think Jungle Cat's a little overpriced, based on stepping up to 6 furlongs, better ground, and he was arguably a little unlucky against Profitable in Newmarket, so we think he's a fair price.
And can you give us a betting show, please, Brendan?
Certainly can. I should say, as the lads have said, this is a complete bomb side of a race, so to make it a little easier for the punters, we're paying 4 places. So
when is the first bookie going to come out and say we're going to play 2 places for the win? Forget all this 4 places nonsense. Give us 2 shots at it.
Yeah.
That sounds like the sort of innovation that Paddy Power might come up with. 2
Indeed.
winners.
Indeed, yeah, and they send things around all the time looking for this kind of innovation, and no one's thought of it, and then Paul just thinks of it. Anyway, so it's 5-1 Twilight Sun, 11-2 Magical Memory, 6-1 Lamato, Quiet Reflection, 8-1 Profitable, 12-1 Air Force Blue, and 16's Bar.
That's an initiative for next year's Supreme, isn't it, Brendan?
Yes, perhaps.
I tell you what, I was once pissed at the races with Bruce Millington, and I said, "Well, you can have 7-1 this horse." It was 5s anyway, and I said, "And I'll pay you out full odds if it finishes 7th." It bloody finished 7th.
The drink's a demon.
Well, you sorted out the July Cup. You got the Bunbury, the 510. It's probably the last one of the day. Paul, you're quite keen on one of Richard Farley's, aren't you?
Yeah, I like Heaven's Guest of Richard Farrey. He just tends to come alive at this time of year, and he's got a great record at this meeting. He won the 6 furlong handicap that Dancing Star won yesterday, 3 years ago. He won the Bunbury Cup 2 years ago. He was 3rd last year. Got a slightly interrupted run. He wouldn't have made a difference between winning and losing, but a couple of weeks later, he won a 150 grand handicap at Ascot. He's a real big handicap 7 furlong specialist, and he just bounced back to form. Finished 2nd at York last time. He's running off 104. His last big win was off 103, so he can certainly do it at the ratings. And of course, these races become less and less like handicaps the further we go, don't they? I mean, there's the £11 between top and bottom rated this year. It's not a great deal. And I just think he's just one of those horses. He just will run well. You can always guarantee that he'll run his race. Whether something beats him or not is another matter. But 4 places, around about a 10-1 shot, I think he is or was. I think he's got a great chance.
Brendan, still 10-1. How are you pricing him up?
We're 8-1 Second Fav Heaven's Guest, behind 11-2 Bucks Day, also 8-1 Golden Steps, 9-1 Flash Fire, 10-1 Mutwathea, 11-1 Grell, 12-1 Gloria Waits, and 14's Bar.
Graham, what's your way into it?
I like the other guest, Bossy Guest, for Mick Shannon. It was quite an eye catcher in I think it was the Hunt Cup last time out at Royal Ascot. Finished well from off the pace. He was a big 50-1 outsider that day, but real eye catcher. He's been bang out of form before that, but he's only had a couple of runs in handicaps. He's quite a classy type. He's done most of his racing in group company. Run well in the Guineas a couple of years ago, and he's rated only 104. He's right back down on a nice mark. I think quicker ground will suit him as well. Bossy Guest is a decent price.
Brendan, you going to tell us what's going to win?
I'll take a chance on Glorious Empire, back with Ed Walker after he was in Hong Kong, I think. I always thought a strongly run 7 furlongs was his optimum. He's a really strong traveller. No issues, fresh. Ryan Moore booked 16-1. Story checks out. I'll have small bet in him.
Good card at Newmarket, obviously, but we've got the Bet365 Mile, the Superlative Stakes. Anything you really want to pick out from those two, or anything else on the card, Graham?
Yeah, there's a really exciting horse running in the Superlative. Bin Batuta, Kasai Bin Sarur. It was one of the most impressive 2-year-old debuts that I've seen all season at Windsor. Was really well fancied before the race and absolutely blew them away. I'm looking forward to seeing him go up in class here. Should be I'll be backing him if he's around 4 or 5-1, which I know is certainly our forecast for the race. The Bet 365 mile looks a real tough one, doesn't it? Sir Roderick was impressive when winning last week at Sandown, but we've got different ground conditions here. I'll probably take a chance on Hornsby there, but Bin Batuta for me is the most exciting horse on the rest of the card.
Another win for Godolphin, and it's been a bit of a comeback season, hasn't it, Paul? Are you factoring that into your thinking at all?
Oh, God, you know, Godolphin have done really well, and their horses are really well. They had 2 running the maiden at Newmarket yesterday, and I've always made a habit of backing the second in when they're unraced, and I took the dog out yesterday and missed it. It won at 11-2. The odds-on favourite was beaten, although showed an awful lot of promise. They've obviously got some really, really decent horses, and they are having a resurgence. In a superlative, though, I'll be interested to see what they do with Kunko, because he pulled like a train in the Chesham and finished third. And even so, the jockey still couldn't pull him up. And I wonder if they sort of do a Frankel. He's by Frankel. I wonder if they do a Frankel and just let him roll on from the start. Be interesting to see what he does. No real opinion in the handicap. I've got plenty of bets at the other big meetings, though.
Brendan, anything stand out for you there, mate?
Well, I should say to Graham that we are 5-1 that Bin Batuta in the Superlative Stakes, which looks a hell of a race because that South Seas was also devastating in Windsor. He's going to have his fans. But I'll be having a bet in that race as well, just to put up a third one. War Decree, who were 9-2 about. Slave to the aesthetic that I am, Mark. Another gorgeous looking war front. Pretty impressive in Leopardstown. I'll take a chance on him.
Here's Paddy Power's latest horse racing offer. It's money back as a free bet if your horse finishes second to the SP Fav at one meeting every day this month. Paddy Power, you're welcome. Max free bet £25, 18 plus. Please gamble responsibly.
Right, Graham, let's spin 150 miles up the A1 to York and start off with the John Smith's Cup.
The John Smith's Cup, the 57th running. One of my favourite races the whole season before. Obviously, the July Cup ended up on the same day. I always thought it was a cracking day up at York. Horse that's been on my radar for a long time, Asraf. If I'm going to have a bet in the race, it is another impossible handicap, which I'll probably have a small bet on Asraf. Huge chance taking on him going up in trip. Who knows if he's going to stay? All his best form's on straight tracks over a mile. But he does travel well through his races, and he has got quite a decent turn of foot. And I thought he ran well in the Hunt Cup last time, went fourth. Now he's got a horrible draw in stall 20, but obviously doubts about the stamina. He's going to be dropped in. I'll probably have a bet on him. Andrew Atzeni on board, but it's not a race I've got a strong opinion on.
Paul, is it time to get bogged down in the draw? I know that it's been quite conflicting stats coming out of it, particularly last year. Is it something that you really...
No, it's not something I pay attention with at York anymore, to be honest. I mean, half the time they end up coming down the centre of the track, so it doesn't worry me too much. I mean, I suppose if like Revolutionist, you banged out in stall 21, you'd probably want to be a little bit lower, but it's not something I worry about. More worried about the fact that they had 7 millimetres of rain overnight on Thursday. Is a little bit more forecast. It's probably the hardest handicap of the week to get a handle on before that. There's a few who'll want it and there's a few who won't. I mean, Arthenis of James Fanshawe's will definitely want a further easing of the ground. Asraf wouldn't mind it, but probably doesn't want it because he won't get home if he gets it. It's the 57 running. I mean, I could have a 57 goes and not get the winner of this race. I find it really, really hard. The horse I tipped in the weekend who isn't running either, that makes it worse. I would say Oasis Fantasy's got a big chance. It's a fairly obvious one. The other one, if there is a bit of rain, just takes the firm out of the ground. With Shelley Burkitt claiming through, is Birdman. He has run a couple of decent races this season. He doesn't want ground that fast. But I did think he was coming back to form last time, and he's probably got a big run with. David O'Meara is probably in better form now than he has been all season, and I'll be very surprised if he doesn't walk away with a winner of something at the weekend.
So it's fair to say you won't be having a bet on this race then?
I'll be having a bet. I'll probably have a few, but they will be at the very, very much at the lower end of the scale. There's far better bets at the meeting.
Brendan, how's the market looking for the John Smiths?
It's looking competitive, as the lads have set up. 7-1 Taudia, 9-1 Arthenis, 10-1 Oasis Fantasy and Spanish Squeeze, 12-1 Carry On Derek and Elbereth, 14-1 brings in Educate, Revolutionist, Gold Trail, What About Carlo and Earth Drummer 16's Bar.
Have you priced up any other races at York yet?
No. The only other race we've managed is that Summer Mile in Ascot.
Right. Okay.
So
Fair
yeah.
enough. You better kick your lads into gear, don't you?
Well,
So it's only Friday afternoon, you know.
Yeah, no, I don't like this. Bruce wouldn't say this. He has great solidarity with the working man. He'd say, "Oh, you're flat out there, lads. Have a bit of lunch and come back to us in an hour."
Yeah, okay.
But we will get to York, though. We will.
Sometime tomorrow morning. Okay, thanks. Well, all right. Okay, Graham. York, you've got to have some couple little pearlers there for us.
Yeah, there's one that I fancy in the 225 called Magic Circle for Ruth Beckett. Huge improver last season, and then was a big eye catcher first time up at Salisbury. Stayed on really nicely over 1 mile 6 furlongs, stiff finish there. I thought it would improve for a step up to 2 miles. However, they went up to 2 miles 6 and whatever at Royal Ascot, and I mean he didn't get home. He had absolutely very little chance of getting home. He acts with a bit of cut in the ground, so if the rain has come, as Paul says, then that will suit him, and I think he'll bounce back. Now dropped
He's
significantly
still on the
in
far
trip.
side today. They do need more rain to get cut out of the ground.
Yeah, that would be a concern. I mean, if it stays fast there, I mean, all Magic Circle's best form is with a little bit of cut, but let's hope that they get it.
Paul, the floor is yours. Give some winners.
Right, okay, we'll start in that 225, the John Smith Stayers Stakes. I backed Nikita for the Northumberland Plate last time. I had a good bet on it, and the space just ran out halfway up the straight, and he was just starting to make his run. And given how much he found at Chester when second in the Chester Cup, I absolutely guarantee you he would have played some sort of hand in the finish. I'm not saying he would have won, but he'd have finished much better place than he did. I'm looking for compensation there. I won't hear of defeat for him because I think he's a real improving horse, and you should get on him. We go into the 1 mile race. This is quite interesting. One Word More was third last time. Has run well in some really big handicaps, and has some decent form at York. Rachel Richardson still able to claim £5. She lost her claim a couple of days ago. I think he'll go really well for Tim Easterby. In the 340, if the ground stays fast, Curb Your Enthusiasm. I would have backed him in the Gold Cup if the ground was soft, but he was pulled out. If the ground was fast, but he was pulled out of that. If he stays, but he'll be favourite, I'd imagine. He's one, and there is one more. Yeah, look to the two fillies in the John Smith City Wall Stakes at 450, Eastern Angel and Marsha. Now, I'd imagine Muthmere is going to be fairly short here because he's got the standout form, but I was really, really impressed with Eastern Angel at Sandown, and I was doubly impressed with Marsha at Ayr. I'm not sure the Ayr race was that hot, but she looked like she was walking compared to the others in a 5 furlong sprint, and she just absolutely hacked up. I think both of those two will end up running in the Nunthorpe next month, and they could be a bit of value against Muthmere.
Here's Paddy Power's latest horse racing offer. It's money back as a free bet if your horse finishes second to the SP Fav at one meeting every day this month. Paddy Power, you're welcome. Max free bet £25, 18 plus. Please gamble responsibly.
Right, back down to Berkshire now. 2 very good races on a card at Ascot where Pat Smullen's got 8 rides. It just pretty much sums up the quality of the card down. And the Summer Mile is the feature race. What's the betting on that like, Brendan?
7-2 Two or More, 9-2 Convey, 11-2 Mutakf, 6-1 Cody Bear, 7-1 Dutch Connection, 8-1 The Custom Cut, 10-1 Richard Pankhurst, and 14's Bar.
And what do you like in that, Brendan?
Oh, this is a race full of holes, isn't it? 2 or More, you never know. He's just got a touch inconsistent lately, and the ground would be quick enough for him. I thought Convey ran a huge race in Haydock. I thought he was the best horse in that race at a trip that wouldn't, well, a mile suit him a lot better than 7 furlongs. Forgive Mascot on the ground. I think Convey's going places, and yeah, I think he's a bet at 9-2.
Paul, get your head to Ascot now. You got any pearlers for us there?
Yeah, I couldn't argue with Convey. I couldn't understand why he was still getting back to Ascot for the Hunt Cup, because all along they'd said they didn't want any sort of soft in the ground, and they were thinking they're not running, but they ran him anyway because he was so well handicapped. He's going to get the fast ground he wants. He really likes it. I do think it's quite a tough race. It's obviously quite tight on the ratings. Mutakf won at York last time, was backed as if defeat was out of the question. And Richard Pankhurst has got some decent form to his name when he wants to show it. So, I would say Convey, but it wouldn't be the big bet. The big bet is in the Tote Scoop 6 Heritage Handicap, because I like nothing better than a 20-runner sprint handicap. And earlier in the week, I tipped in the weekend to Boom the Groom, and How can I forget the name of the horse I fancy
Royal
most?
Birth.
Right, Royal
Oh,
Birth.
I read it, Paul.
Yeah.
I cut them out and keep them.
My mind's going, I'll tell you.
Yeah.
But no, earlier in the week I tipped Boom the Groom and Royal Birth, and with every passing day I've been getting more confident about Royal Birth. I think he's probably the bet of the day. He's a really, really good borderline top-class horse when it comes to all-weather surfaces, and we know that you get some sort of translation between all-weather surfaces and Ascot straight track, and he's never run on Ascot straight track, and he's doing it now at the very time when the handicapper has decided to separate his turf mark from his all-weather mark, and he absolutely bolted up at Chelmsford last time. Aaron Jones was able to ease up in the saddle long before the line. He went up to 100 from 94 there, and I thought he was lucky just to go up to 100. He beat Bosun Fred a length and a half. Now, Bosun Fred is in this race, but Royal Birth gets a run off his old flat mark, is a turf mark of 92. And with jockey bookings, he's £10 better off for having thrashed the horse a length and a half. If he acts at Ascot and Exceed and Excel is his sire, and only Oasis Dream has sired more winners on Ascot straight track in the last 10 years, then Royal Birth just will win.
Couple of quid each way, then, yeah.
Just a pound or two.
Pound or two each way. Anything else at Ascot we should be aware of?
Yeah, Sanokian Star in the Playboy Club London Handicap. Now you've got to forgive a few bad runs for this horse, but when he's in form, fast ground and a mile and two is his thing. He's run 3 times at Ascot in his life. He won a handicap there off 91. He was 4th in the Wolferton off 102 in 2014. He was 2nd, beating half a length to Marsub in the same race last year. He now runs off 85. If he bounces back to form, and it's a little bit of an if, although he didn't run too badly at Chelmsford 2 starts ago, then he is absolutely lobbed in. We've got Goodwood round the corner. He's a glorious Goodwood winner as well, and he's not going to get in any of the good races if Mark Johnson doesn't get his handicap mark up. So I'm expecting a big run.
Graham, are you in the Royal Birth kind of camp? Do you see an alternative to Royal Birth in the race?
No, I'm going back Dugan for David Evans. I thought ran very well first time out when third at Newmarket. Bit unlucky maybe, came a bit too late. And last time out maybe the ground just went against him at Newbury. Still ran well, finished third. I think he could be ahead of his mark. I respect Paul's one, makes quite a strong case for him. I think Dutch Connection's a huge player in the Summer Mile. Loves quick ground. Didn't get it last time in the Lockinge. The previous start, I mean, some people were saying he don't stay a mile, but I thought he blew up a little bit as if he was in need the run at Sandown. Certainly shaped like the best horse in that race. The 425, I can't believe that there's surely no way that any of these older horses can give weight to Gershwin. The 3-year-old down in at the bottom for David Lanigan. I mean, this Gershwin is one of the most highly regarded horses at Lanigan's yard. It was sent off a well-backed favourite for a red-hot handicap first time up at Sandown. Just got bogged down in the ground in behind. Still ran quite a nice race in 6th. Last time out at Leicester, absolutely bolted up. Very, very impressive win. The second Banksy has since come out and won. And after the race, David Lanigan was talking about derbies. He was saying, well, this horse is a derby horse. I might run him in the Irish Derby. Well, he runs here off 93. I'll be amazed if the older horses can give him weight for age. The biggest danger, I think, will be Move Up, who's also a 3-year-old likely race for Saïd bin Sarur. The other bet that I'm interested in at Ascot is Paris Protocol in the 5:35. Very impressive when winning a Salisbury Maiden last year. Looked like a real staying handicapper of real promise this year. He's had 2 runs, looked in need of the outing first time out at Sandown, and then made a big move at a very early stage at Royal Ascot last time round the turn, just so that he could get up the inside rail. Used all his energy to get the inside rail, and once he got there, he almost hit the front. He was just coming up to challenge and then just faded up the straight. I think he used his energy up a little bit too early there. I think this is much easier race. I'll expect a better performance from Paris Protocol. That's in the 5:35.
Brendan, what do you think about Ascot?
Well, this Gershwin, I mean, just from an odds compiling point of view, absolutely fascinating. I'd say we won't be able to get short enough about this horse. He was my bet of the meeting for Ascot, but he was pulled out, unfortunately, because of the ground. he just looks a good thing. It'd be interesting to see how short he is. And that 1.5 mile handicap, there's a 30 grand handicap down there. That's a right race. Man Jam caught a bit of a tartar the last day up and down Royal. He ran into the Irish Derby third, Stellar Mass. But he's a very progressive profile. Now, he's in against plenty of others with a similar profile, but I'd chance him as well.
You sound very keen. Right, it's time for our best bets.
If he doesn't win, I will be absolutely staggered. I think it's a stone cold certainty.
Brendan, I'm coming back to you first. What wins tomorrow?
I'll chance the cat at a big price, the Jungle Cat in the July Cup. Go for it all.
And price again, remind us again of that price?
He's 16 to 1. There's bigger out there. But of course, we have the 4 places, so I suppose perhaps.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Paul?
Without a doubt, Royal Birth, 245 Ascot.
Gershwin for me. Yeah, I think Gershwin will win that race easily.
He's going to be really short. He's going to make the market. What's all that
He
about?
won't be that short.
Come on,
If you get in there early
this will
tomorrow,
be
Bankers come at a price.
someone will give you 5 to 2. Come on, Brendan.
I don't think it's going to be the colour of 5 to 2.
Excellent. It's going to be a very colourful Saturday. Looking forward to it. Join us again on Monday for a look back at all the results, everything that happened, and we'll look ahead to the Irish Oaks.
The Race and Postcast in association with Paddy Power. They prize up all UK and Irish racing the night before.